Hi, this is Todd with Geist Interactive, and today we're going to take a look at filtering with the brand new GoZync 5. We just released GoZync 5 and we're really excited about it. It's got some awesome improvements. One of the things it does do is it changes the way that we do filtering, and so I want to take a look at that in this video. And I think I want to mention before we begin that filtering is an essential part, or we believe it's an essential part of building a sane and maintainable mobile application, because it allows you to send just the data you want to the devices you want. You're not forced to sync really large sets of data, and the users only have to contend with the data that's actually appropriate to who they are, or where they are, or what day it is of the week. So sync with filters is really important, and we think it's important that you get to decide what records get synced, not us. And so we went to great lengths to make that something that FileMaker developers can do. All right, so diving in, GoZync filters are just simple, normal FileMaker finds. There's no SQL, there's no external foreign languages, there's nothing you have to learn beyond the skills you already have as a FileMaker developer. If you can do a FileMaker find, then you can create a filter to use to bring down just those records that you want. So that's the way it's always been with GoZync. New in GoZync 5 is that the find is now performed on the server in the hosted file, not on the client or the iPad and the mobile files. And one of the big reasons for that is it allows us to take advantage of perform script on server. So these are advantages that we get with FileMaker 13. Perform script on server is an awesome speed boost for all kinds of processes, and syncing in GoZync 5 is the same. We get a massive speed improvement with being able to do our finds and our filtering up on the server, as opposed to downloading all that data to the client and filtering it there. The other benefit we get is it allows you to tweak the find without having to redeploy the files. Well, maybe not always, but sometimes you'll be able to tweak the find and change how the find's done without having to send out new files to your users. So those are a couple of really nice benefits. So, however, this did present a challenge that we had to overcome in our engineering of GoZync 5, and let's just cover that real quick. So the basic problem is that sometimes you're going to want to do finds that include information, or filters that include information that's only available to the client, not available to a script running with Perform Script on Server. Because Perform Script on Server is actually another connection, another session into the database, and the amount of state that it gets from the client, or the amount of information that it gets from the client, is fairly limited. So to overcome that, we had to come up with a way to pass in find criteria from the mobile device on up through our Perform Script on Server call up to the find that you do in your file, so that you could actually use that information as part of your find. And that's what we did. So in this demo, we're going to take a look at two different demos. The first one, we're going to look at filtering by iPad username. So the deal is that you're able to deliver only the records that belong to that particular user. When they sync, they get their records. The other one we're going to do is kind of neat. We're going to actually sync based on postal code, and we're going to get that postal code using a web service and the geolocation features and functionality that we get with FileMaker Go 13. All right, so let's dive into the demos. All right, so first I just want to go through the demo and just set the stage before we dive into the specifics of filtering. First, this demo set is available and you can get it. It's based on the one that comes with GoZync 5 if you download it, and it works just the same. So you'll be able to get a demo license if you want, and play around with it and do whatever you like. So just to set that stage, this is how it works out of the box. I'm going to demo this first one here just using my laptop. We're not going to use the iPad just because it's a little bit easier to demo. But here's the basic idea. We have work orders and we have statuses over here on the left-hand side of the screen. We have 6 work orders that are in the open status, and we have 8 that are in the scheduled status. And GoZync ships with a filter that will bring down only the records that are scheduled. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll just see how that works. So I'm going to press the sync button here on my mobile side. The mobile one's going to go, and we see we pull down 6 records, and here they are. And on this side, all of the scheduled ones have been checked out. So that is the demo as it works with GoZync. That's how it works out of the box. And the next step, we're going to tweak that to use the iPad username as part of that filter. All right, so I've reset the demos, and let's take a look at how filtering works in detail and how we're going to add account name, or rather iPad username. And in this case, since I'm using my laptop, we are just going to stick with, it'll be this guy here. Not the iPad username, but you get the idea. It's my laptop username. So let's see how this works. So if we're gonna open up Script Maker here, and we're gonna go into this script called Filter Records to Pull, and this is in the hosted version of the file. And the way this works is that there is a branch in this script for each TO that you're filtering, that you're going to sync on, and you simply have to do a find inside of that branch for each TO, and that's the found set that you're going to sync. So if we look at the one that is comes out of the box, the one that we just did, you'll see that we have a find that basically does searches for all records that the status is set to scheduled or the status is set to checked out. And so that is what gave us those 8 records that we had in that last little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable this find, and I'm just going to bring it down out of that branch, and I'm going to grab a pre-done one that I set up just so we don't have to do so much typing here, and put that in its place. Let's look at that. So I've changed the find a little bit here. You can see that now, in addition to doing work order status scheduled, we also are now doing work order staff is set to iPad user, whatever value is in that variable. And the same for the checked out one. So now, if we get a variable of iPad user in this script, then it will take that into account. And so that is what happens. If you look at the top of this script here, you'll see that we have this section where we declare additional find criteria. And that happens automatically. You don't have to do anything there. What we do have to do is over in GoZync Mobile, which I will bring up right here, there is a script called Specify User-Defined Search Criteria. And that is this guy right here. I'm going to open him up. And you'll see again, we sort of have a branching system here. For each TO that's being synced, you get a chance to run a script here which is called Declare Additional Filter Criteria. And if we look at this one, we see that what gets passed in is iPad user and get username. So the idea here is that the first value is the name of the variable, and the second value in this list is the value that the variable will be set to. So that's how it's done. So I've set this up already, and so by doing that, when we run our script, and we run our find, and we're going to look at, let's go in here, and let's set a debug point right there. Good, so we can see it. And let's run our sync with debugger on. Click the sync button, run it, and we should stop right there in that find. So there we are. We're stopped right in it. And let's bring up the data viewer, and we'll see that we have iPad user set to Todd. So that value came up through that script we just looked at and is declared here for you. So that when we let the script continue and finish out the find, you can see that this time it only pulled down 4 records. And if we look up here in the hosted version and look at checked out, we'll see that those 4 records are indeed the ones that were set to my name. And if we looked at the ones that were scheduled, they're all set to other people. So you can see that with this, we were able to filter down and pull only the records that were assigned to that particular iPad user. That's it for this demo. All right, so let's take a look at doing this with a zip code. So I've got GoZync running here on I've got the demo file running here on my iPad. You can see it on my screen, on the screen behind me. And let's first just deal with getting the zip code. So I'm not going to show the script in detail, but it's in the file, and when you get the file, you can take a look at it. Basically, you're going to have to sign up for the Google geocoding API. It's really easy. You get an API key, you plug it into the script, and it will work. So if we just press this button right up here in the, you can see kind of up there in the upper right, kind of the middle, get current postal code. And so that just got 91320, which is the postal code of Newbury Park, which is where we are. And so that's pretty cool. So now we can use that criteria to filter the set of records based on where we are, which is pretty nifty. So how do we pull that off? All right, so let's put that down for a second and let's deal with changing what we got to do here. We're going to need to work in a couple of places. First, let's go up to the filter script in our hosted file. So this is our main file here. We're going to go look at that guy we messed with before. We're going to move that find out because we're going to do a different one. And I've got that one already set up here, and we'll drag it up and we'll take a look at it. So here it is. And you know, it's not going to be a big surprise here. It's just this, right? Now we're doing scheduled, status is scheduled, and the address is the postal code address equals postal code. So not super shocking, right? We're just going to have to pass up our postal code variable, and it will be declared by our framework here, and that's that. So let's save that script. Then we're going to go to GoZync Mobile and make sure that we declare that variable and get that set up properly. And nope, that's not the right script. It is this one here. And so we're in this branch, our work orders branch, and I've already just created and disabled the script just so we can work a little faster here. So here is the part we're going to enable, the new section. We don't need user, so we can disable that right now, the username, and we'll just use this guy, and he is going to be set up to declare a variable called postal code and a value which is GZ, $GZ postal code. So we have to make sure that gets set before we do the sync. And the way that we do that is before we do our sync from our mobile file, we simply call this script and we pass it in the postal code. So that's just sort of how we kick off our scripts in the other file. And once that gets set, our postal code is declared inside of GoZync Mobile, inside that on that variable, and the framework will take care of the rest. So if we've done everything correctly, we should have it should work. So let's hide that. Let's leave this window up, and let's bring up the iPad again. And so we've already, oops, let's get that rotated back correctly. There we go. Let me resize this. That's a little big. I'll make it just a little bit smaller so we can kind of see it there. All right. All right, so there we go. So now if I sync, we should only get records that are in the 91320 zip code. So you can see that we just got 2. And if I select them there, you can see that they both have that zip code equal to 91320. So it worked just the way that we want, and we can look up at the server and we can see that it checked out those 2 only. And the rest of them that are still scheduled are not in that IP address, so we didn't get them. So that's it. So this is pretty cool. That means that we can actually include where we are as part of our filter, so that users can only get the data that makes sense for the location they're in. If they're in a given city, they don't need records for other cities. Well, this is a way that you can do it using our GoZync framework. So that's it for the demos. All right, that's it for the demos. As we wrap up, I just want to point out again that GoZync is the scriptable transaction safe sync engine for FileMaker. It's built with FileMaker, it's made with FileMaker, and it's for FileMaker developers, so that you get to use the skills that you already have as a FileMaker developer to fine-tune and refine your sync so that you get exactly the sync that you want. That's it. Thanks very much.